There's no better time to talk about the best class out there, Ranger. And we're talking about Elven Rangers. We're not talking about any human Ranger, pal. We're talking about the best kind of Rangers. Kind of Rangers that you want on your side in a great war. A war against trolls or orcs. It does not matter. You always want Rangers on your side. Because our kind can produce the best Rangers out there. It's true, the best rangers come from the elves. They usually started to be rangers like during the Great Sundering. Oh no, let's be honest, it was not the Great Sundering. That's like when we have one evidence of a Night Elf Ranger. But if Night Elf Rangers were big or many or it was just a title back then, we're not really that sure. But what we do know is that the Rangers, they organized themselves after the Troll Wars or during the Troll Wars. They made their own community to protect Silvermoon and all of Elfkind. And the leader of their group was given the historic and unique title of Ranger General of Silvermoon. Look, pal, this whole group, the Far Striders, their whole thing was protecting the land. And because they were so much out and about, they got a little bit rougher, a little bit tougher than most. You understand what I mean? They learned how to use the land to their own benefits, even befriending animals and learning some druidistic magic. Not much druidistic magic, but at the end of the day, enough to survive and to make a legacy worth fighting for. During the Second War, elves would be greatly used in fighting against the orcs. They would mostly gather at mills that were staffed by their elven brethren, and there is where they honed their skills even more, practicing, training, receiving missions, and so on. But do not think they would just did that for the Second War. As great longbowmen, as great marksmen, and as great scouts as they were, they did not leave Lordaeron after the end of the Second War. They still patrolled the area thanks to orders from Alleria Windrunner, in the hopes of finding any remaining orcs who escaped captured. But one such occasion brought them to the Alterac Mountains, and there they kinda saw things not so good. But that is different story. Right now we talk about Rangers. Rangers very good units. Sometimes Rangers wield longbow. Of course you understand that, but sometimes if the necessity appears, an elf, a ranger, must be able to fight in close melee combat, if possible, and because of that, they prefer to use two weapons at once, usually as two swords. Historically speaking, they use mostly a normal sword and a sort of dagger little knife thingy that they can use to parry. It serves as shield of kind, but not that much. It's still just made for stabbing. Rangers know how to work in a team. They understand perfectly how to hunt with others. But being Rangers, pal, you have to understand, they also know how to hunt by themselves, how to survive by themselves. Sure, it's a team effort when we're all together, but we have to be able to endure by ourselves depending on the mission. Because at the end of the day, pal, you can't only be a team guy and not be able to survive on your own, but you also can't be a lone wolf and expect to not work with people. This is a collaborative effort, pal. At the end of the day, we all contribute something to Elfkind, and since our duty is to protect the whole of it, we need to know how to work by ourselves and how to work together. It's a proper mix and balance one learns in training. Those are very important skills, but those are skills that at the end of the day did not help once the Scourge came to Quel'Thalas, once the Scourge came to Silvermoon. The Rangers of Silvermoon and of Quel'Thalas tried to defend their kingdom as much as they could. They were led by the Ranger General herself, Sylvanas Windrunner, but at the end of the day, they did not manage to win that battle. What they did manage to do was keep the Scourge at bay for just as much as they can, but they did not win the day. They surely kept the Scourge at bay for a while, but that's it. At the end of the day, the Scourge still won. Many Rangers were then killed, and some were turned into Dark Rangers for the Scourge. But pal, you must understand, it does not end here. You see, not all elves died, not all rangers decided to croak. Many of them gathered and continue to become what they always were, forest riders, proper elven archers and longbowmen, there to defend the land from anything evil that might come their way. The Order endured the scourging of their own homeland, and they continue to defend the Elven Kingdom to this day. Now, of course, the Warcraft Rangers have a new Ranger General, and that is Haldur Brightwing. Usually they're stationed in the reclaimed country. Their whole presence in Eversong Wood, the Silvermoon City, and the Ghostland. And Ranger Captains serve as intermediate officers to coordinate the fighting. The Rangers are still out there. The Rangers still keep the fight going against the Scourge and anyone that would dare to attack Elvenkind. As the High Elves became the Blood Elves, things also changed a little. Yeah, for example, the Night Elves, that we don't really know if they had Ranger Generals or not, seem to go onto the route of having their own Ranger Corps squad. Oh, that's pretty nice. Also, let's not forget another important detail, and that is the Sunsworn, who is a military force of Blood Elves that's led by the Blood Knights. Now, this force is a combination of both Rangers and Magi, and they're based in Talador, led by Lady Liadrin. And their whole point is just to be the equivalent of the Arcanine. Still, they serve their purpose as Rangers. Let's go back to Night Elves. And I see the Night Elves have their own Ranger Corps thing, as I mentioned before, and those are called the Sentinels. And they serve pretty much the same purpose, that if you look at the Sentinel and then you look at the Forest Rider, you can probably tell the difference only by race, because by their own attributions, by their own jobs, they kinda do the same thing, and that's protect Elvenkind from any threats. For Night Elves, it makes more sense that the Rangers have some little druidistic powers to them. It makes sense to make plants grow or eat berries or purify water. But you have to understand that those Rangers that were killed during the siege of Quel'Thalas and got turned into Dark Rangers, they can no longer have that power. They can no longer call upon the earth to make berries or purify water. And it makes sense that death took their connection to nature away, there being abominations and all. But what is life if you are not abomination to someone? Elves are abomination to dwarves, but dwarves are abomination to everybody else that exists and has a sense of smell, of taste, and of understanding, and anybody that has the capabilities of reading proper language. The best examples of elves being able to have druidistic magic is when you look at the Windrunner sisters and their ability to speak with plants, understand the emotions of plants, their history, and kind of relive their memories. Which is freaky, but it is what we elves are good at, and that's our connection to nature. Elven Rangers for life. A Ranger for life. If there's any job I would have to have, and again, that would be Ranger. You speak with nature, you shoot very good, and you scare dwarves when they see you.